What's going on, my friends? Stay thirsty, my friends. Sorry, it's been a bit. Old Rand's got a lot going on. A lot of it bad, a lot of it good. But either damn way, this pumped me up today. This is French wrestlers you should know in honor or recognition of French American Heritage Month. And today we're going to talk about one of the greats, one of the greatest, and that is the Flying Frenchman, Edward Carpentier. I myself was a kid, and I was just telling this story not too long ago. I must have been 7 years old when it happened. So I discovered wrestling at the age of 5 as I was figuring out what the UHF channel did. Then within 2 years of that, I went to a flea market, which was before a carnival or festival in my hometown by myself. And I bought a box of magazines, wrestling mags, for next to nothing. And what was awesome about that was I didn't know they had wrestling magazines, and I didn't know they had wrestling beyond Chicago, talking about Bob Loose Wrestling. One of those magazines had Edward Carpentier in this magazine, and he was up in the air about 8 or 10 feet inside out and upside down. Now, what the hell is that? Now, when I saw footage or matches of the Flying Frenchman, Edward Carpentier, it's even more mind-blowing. But even in the magazines, it stuck out. He was an original. Edward Carpentier was born in July of 1926, and he passed away, when it's at 84 years old, in October of 2010. He was born in France. His father was Russian, his mother was Polish. He joined the French resistance during World War II, and I'm figuring the French have always been our allies, so I just figured that must have been what the resistance did. He was a very decorated soldier, and he moved to Canada in 1956 and became an all-round athlete with gymnastic skills. You guys who think you're innovators, you guys and girls who, love that style, the real innovator was this guy. He had no one to pull from, my friends. Everything he did out there in that ring, which was amazing. Go down the rabbit hole on YouTube and search Edward Carpentier, the Flying Frenchman. You'll see what I'm talking about. Most of the matches that come up, he was an older guy, but he was still moving like a son of a bitch at, get this, 230 pounds. And as you can see in the picture, he was thick. To be able to move like that, you have to be one hell of an athlete in an unbelievable shape. He started in Europe, and he is officially considered one of the first, or one of the pioneers of high-flying wrestling. The matches that he was most notorious for, or known for, or the biggest gates for, were every time he wrestled one of my friends, Walter Waldorf, Killer Kowalski. And I didn't know that, but it makes sense to me now. I really, really loved Killer Kowalski and had so much respect for Killer Kowalski. You guys have heard the name, but what you might not know or remember is Killer Kowalski is responsible for training Triple H and also China. Now check this out. This is how over the Flying Frenchman, Edward Carpentier, was. In 1957, he defeated Lou Thesz to become the NWA champion. It didn't describe what the controversy was, but this was such a big controversial thing with the NWA that it caused many, many splits within the NWA, which used to be the governing body for almost all of wrestling in the States. And then he held that belt for 1 year. He held that belt for 1 year and he eventually dropped it to Vern Gagne, which makes sense because Vern shot off from the NWA and formed the AWA. Things you didn't know about Edward Carpentier. If you know about Edward Carpentier, he main evented in Madison Square Garden 3 times, tagging with Bobo Brazil, and it was usually Killer Kowalski and another partner, which was really cool. Now, I have seen, and you guys will see when you go into the YouTube search of Edward Carpentier, matches from WWF when he was an older guy. Like I said, an older guy that still moved outstandingly. And this is what we didn't know at the time, and a lot of you guys don't know today. Hell, I know you don't know because I didn't know, and this was my industry for how many years. They had different television markets, even though it was World Wrestling Federation, even though the territory spanned from here to there for all over the place, and was also the largest territory and the most successful territory before it became the WWE under Vincent McMahon Sr. The reason that they would use Carpentier on the undercard as an older guy was he was a big star in Montreal still, and he hosted the Montreal WWF television, which I didn't know. But anyway, all you high flyers, all you fans or internet wrestling fans who love high flying and love the style, love the acrobatics, love the extreme, we've all got to pay homage to probably one of the first originators of that style, and again, doing it back in the 50s, the Flying Frenchman, Edward Carpentier. He had a heart attack in 2000, and that's when his health trouble started. He had other health trouble, but the health trouble that finally killed him was a heart attack 10 years later. Once again, he died at 84 years old. They say that he'd been in poor health for many years because of his wrestling style, which I do believe. You guys know so much more about nutrition and fitness today than we ever did. And I'm talking about myself. I can't remember the lack of knowledge, during the Carpentier and those guys' era. But just the fact that he lived to be 84 years old was pretty damn amazing. And once again, I'm going to go ahead and say this is us honoring a true originator, the Flying Frenchman, wrestling's Edward Carpentier. Now I'm going to go ahead and put Mr. Carpentier's Wikipedia link in the description. And also, please bear in mind, this is being brought to you without YouTube commercials on it by Premier Pro Wrestling, so it's sponsored by Premier Pro Wrestling. At the very least, please like and subscribe, and check out in the description how to support Premier Pro Wrestling and get some really cool shit. Talk to you soon.